Good day, good day, good day, and welcome back to Celebrity Watchdog, the only place on the internet where we sniff out the drama before the publicists even have time to spin it. Now listen, I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now, because what I am about to tell you is the kind of story that makes you put your phone down, sit up straight, and say out loud, "Wait, what?" Because Kris Jenner, Momager Supreme, CEO of the most powerful family in pop culture history, the woman who once turned a scandal into a billion-dollar empire, has come out swinging at Ray J, and she did not come to play nice. She called what he has been doing nothing short of public terrorism. Yes, you heard that correctly. Terrorism. Not shade, not drama, not petty gossip. Terrorism. The woman who built an empire on staying composed, calculated, and camera-ready just lobbed what might be the most explosive word in celebrity history directly at Ray J's reputation, and the internet is completely on fire. Quick favor before we get into this. If you are loving this channel and you want the hottest celebrity tea delivered straight to your notifications, hit that subscribe button right now, smash that bell icon, and share this video with someone who lives for this kind of chaos. Okay? Good. Now let us get into it. So here is the setup, and pay attention because the layers on this thing are deeper than a Kardashian contour. Ray J, whose real name is William Ray Norwood Jr., in case you forgot he had one, has been on what can only be described as a press tour from a parallel universe. He has been doing interviews, posting online, and making claims that connect him to the Kardashian Jenner family in ways that the family has categorically denied, disputed, and apparently found deeply threatening to their reputation. And when Kris Jenner decides something is a threat to her family's reputation, she does not send a cease and desist letter quietly. No, no, no. She goes to the media. She pulls out the word terrorism, and she makes sure the whole world hears it. Now let us rewind for a second, because if you do not know the full backstory between Ray J and this family, you are missing about 15 years of interconnected drama that makes your favorite soap opera look like a children's cartoon. Ray J and Kim Kardashian dated in the early 2000s. That relationship produced what is arguably the most infamous piece of media in the history of entertainment, a tape that, when it leaked in 2007, launched Kim Kardashian from socialite to superstar almost overnight. The tape was distributed by Vivid Entertainment, and from that moment forward, Ray J's name has been permanently attached to the Kardashian legacy, whether anybody likes it or not, and based on recent events, nobody likes it. For years, the dynamic was uncomfortable but manageable. Ray J occasionally popped up in interviews, made a few pointed comments, and then faded back into the background, while the Kardashians continued to dominate reality television, social media, and the global beauty industry. But something shifted. The tone changed. The claims got bigger. The headlines got louder. And at some point, Kris Jenner, who has the patience of a chess grandmaster and the instincts of a shark, decided that enough was enough. Here is where it gets truly explosive. Ray J made a series of public statements claiming that the tape was not simply leaked. He alleged there was more deliberate planning involved in how that tape entered the public domain, and he pointed fingers directly at the Jenner-Kardashian inner circle. He suggested, with zero subtlety, that the narrative the family built around being victims of that leak was not the full truth. Now, to be clear, these are allegations, Ray J's version of events, but the fact that he made them publicly, repeatedly, and with apparent detail, that is what lit the match under Kris Jenner's very expensive heels.
And Kris went on record. She described what Ray J has been doing as a sustained, deliberate campaign to damage her family's image and mental health. She used language that was stark, clinical, and deeply intentional. She did not say he was being difficult. She did not say he was being petty. She said, and this is the part people cannot stop talking about, that his behavior constituted a form of public terrorism against her family, that he was weaponizing public platforms to psychologically harm people she loves, and she made clear that the family was not going to sit quietly and absorb it anymore. Now, let us talk about why that word choice is so significant, because this is where it gets really interesting. Kris Jenner has spent her entire career being precise. Every statement, every interview, every carefully crafted Instagram caption, nothing from this woman is accidental. So when she lands on the word terrorism, she is not reaching for drama, she is sending a message. She is framing Ray J not as a nuisance or a bitter ex, but as someone engaged in a coordinated campaign of harm. That is a legal framing, that is a PR framing, that is a this might end up in court framing. And anyone who underestimates Kris Jenner's ability to predict 3 moves ahead needs to review their notes. The internet, predictably, went absolutely unhinged. Within hours of the story breaking, Ray J was trending on every major platform. Opinion was divided faster than a reality show elimination vote. On one side, you had people who have been saying for years that the Kardashians are master manipulators who have always controlled the narrative and that Ray J deserves to be heard. On the other side, you had defenders of the family who said that whatever the truth is about that tape, the ongoing public campaign is causing real harm and Ray J needs to let it go. And somewhere in the middle, you had the rest of us just watching this unfold like a 10-car pileup on a highway. We cannot look away. We feel slightly guilty about how entertained we are, but here we are. And here's the thing that nobody is really talking about: the timing. Why now? Why is this particular feud reaching critical mass at this specific moment? Because the Kardashian brand is in a fascinating transitional period. Kim is navigating a very public personal reinvention. The family's television presence on Hulu continues to evolve and requires constant fresh narrative energy. Khloe, Kourtney, Kylie, Kendall, every single one of them is managing their own public story simultaneously. The last thing Kris Jenner needs is a wild card from the past blowing holes in a carefully maintained image. So when the threat feels existential enough, you act, you go on the record, you use the strongest language available to you, and you make sure the person on the other side understands that you are not the one to come for. Ray J, for his part, has not exactly backed down. He has continued to give interviews, continued to make statements, and continued to operate as though he has receipts he has not fully played yet. Whether those receipts exist in the form he claims is a question nobody outside of his inner circle can answer, but the positioning is clear. He wants the world to believe there is more to this story than what has ever been publicly acknowledged. And honestly, whether you believe him or not, the strategy of sustained drip-drip revelations is one that has worked for other public figures before. Kris Jenner knows this better than anyone. It is probably why she is not waiting for it to escalate further. There is also a deeper cultural conversation buried inside all of this that is worth pointing out. The original tape, its leak, its distribution, the way it was monetized, and who had agency in all of that, is a story that has taken on very different meanings as conversations around consent, exploitation, and women's autonomy have evolved over the past decade. Kim Kardashian has spoken publicly about the emotional toll of that event. She has cried on camera about it. She has said she wishes it never happened. But Ray J's persistence in reopening the narrative raises a question that some people are genuinely wrestling with. Who gets to control the story of a shared experience? Both of them were in that tape. Both of their lives were affected by its leak. But the power dynamics, the outcomes, and the ongoing consequences have been wildly different for each of them. That tension is not going anywhere, and it's part of why this feud keeps finding new air to breathe. What makes this particular chapter of the feud the most brutal yet, as the title very accurately promises, is that Kris Jenner has never, in the entire history of Kardashian public life, gone this hard at a single individual. She has been diplomatic with people who tried to take shots at her family. She has been cold but controlled. She has let her lawyers do the heavy lifting while she maintained her polished public persona. The fact that she personally, publicly deployed language as loaded and serious as terrorism signals that something crossed a line in a way that previous incidents did not. Whether that was a specific interview, a specific claim, or simply a cumulative tipping point, something made Kris Jenner decide that measured responses were no longer sufficient. And look, whatever your feelings about the Kardashians, whatever your theory about what really happened all those years ago, whatever you think Ray J's motivations are, you have to respect the sheer spectacle of this clash. This is two people from one of the most covered chapters in early 2000s pop culture, now adults with full public platforms and very different things at stake, colliding in the most public arena imaginable. This is not just gossip. This is a masterclass in how celebrity feuds evolve, escalate, and eventually force everyone involved to pick a side. The question everyone is going to be asking going forward is simple. Does Ray J actually have anything that changes the story? And is Kris Jenner's very loud, very specific response a sign of confidence or a sign of fear? Because here's the thing about responding this aggressively. Sometimes it draws more attention to the very thing you are trying to bury. And Kris Jenner, of all people, knows that. So either she calculated that the risk of silence is greater than the risk of escalation, or she has something up her impeccably tailored sleeve. Either way, we are watching, closely, the way only Celebrity Watchdog watches. Stay tuned, because this story is not done. It is barely chapter 1, and when chapter 2 drops, you know exactly where to find the breakdown. Thank you so much for watching. It truly means everything. See you in the next one.